Welcome back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a case study where I've worked with a client and how I've used the model to work with that client. Okay, so just to refresh on the model, we do the 3 C's. We check in, we contract with our client to build a container. And then we ask the client what their agenda is. Why are they coming to see you? And once we know what their agenda is, we ask questions, open questions and closed questions, and then we listen. We listen at levels 1, 2, and 3. Levels 1, 2, and 3 was me, what's going on for me. Level 2 is what's going on for them. And level 3 is the relationship. And what we listen for is what does the client need, what are their values, and what is their purpose. And at the end of the conversation, you always want to come up with an action step because we're always wanting to move along and to deepen the learning. And you'll come up with something to hold the client accountable. Now, the first goal of the first session is to get the client to come back for the second session. So here's a case study. I got a phone call to meet somebody. They were in crisis. Where would you meet? I met them where they felt comfortable. I met them at a restaurant and I sat down with this client, and the first thing the client said to me is, I don't want you to tell anything to my wife. So it's part of the contracting there was I needed to keep confidentiality, and there was information there. I spoke to him. Now, the person had a gambling problem. They wanted to do controlled gambling. Yeah. And the goal of the first session is to get the client to come to the second session. And that goal was achieved. I got to see them again. Now it's about building rapport. Now, gambling was clearly a problem in this person's life based on information that we were getting from his wife. However, the individual didn't see that he had a gambling problem. His idea was that his gambling was recreational. So we spoke about successful gambling. Now, in my head, my own self-management was going on. I was thinking, this guy's plan is crazy, but it was my job to self-manage and keep that to myself. It's my duty to allow the client to learn for himself. Even though I was very anxious about the choices he was making, and I made that known in bringing my authentic self to it. So anyway, we sat down and this guy decided how much he was going to budget on gambling every month. And the reason I use gambling as an example is it also takes it away from the controversy of substance abuse. So let's go back to the case. So what happened in the third session when he came back? The client won. His successful gambling wasn't a disaster, he won. And there was real information there. And what he learned from winning was that he never leaves the casino. So by session 4, when he came back, he realized that there was a whole ritual around his addictive behavior. He'd go to a casino, he'd go to play at the same machine, and it didn't matter whether he won or lost. He realized it was more about avoiding life. It was his way of going to disconnect from his work, his relationship, and everything that was going on. And by session number 5, he came in and he was very angry with me. And I said, what are you angry about? And he said, you've made me go to those meetings. So in session 1, he was so resistant to getting help from a 12-step support group, Gamblers Anonymous in this case. But by the time he got to session number 5, he was really willing to go. And then at session 6, we closed off the coaching session. Now you must remember that coaching is a short intervention. You always want to forward the action and deepen the learning. And you need to see if your client is descending down into the madness or if they're rising up and moving to a culture of recovery. We want our clients to learn about a culture of addiction as quickly as possible and what recovery is for them, and so that they can start to move forward. In our next lectures, we're going to start talking about the continuums. There are 4 continuums that we're going to be talking about, and we'll be going deeper into this. Thanks for watching and keep coming back. Bye.